What do you think of Philly's current funding system? Does it need to change?
Okay. Hmm. I mean, whatever their funding system is as it is now is definitely not working. Um, well, I'm not as familiar with how the system works. I'm more familiar with the problems that are currently like plaguing the news or like what I see being like on the ground. So I don't know how I necessarily feel about charging like the $1 more on ride shares because it's supposed to go to schools. I kind of feel like schools aren't going to see that. Um, I know a few years ago, before I was in education, they said that the soda tax was supposed to bring money to the schools, and it feels like the schools didn't really benefit. Though during that time, I was working with charter schools. Um, the second half of your question, you said what needs to change?
Does it need to change, period?
I mean, yeah, it definitely needs to change. There should be no reason that you have to make all these different types of cuts. I know, like, Philly is specifically can't do some things legally, and so if what's currently working isn't working, some changes definitely need to be implemented.
All right. Where is our school missing in terms of funding? What do we need? More programs, sports, supplies?
Okay. So just like as someone who used to be a student, and then just kind of like what I hear from some of my students, I think more clubs or opportunities, extracurriculars would be great. I think part of that is funding, part of that is not having enough staff to be there, not paying enough, because the pay for extracurriculars isn't the most amazing pay. But I think having more extracurriculars to attract more students would be good. If enrollment numbers are an issue, I imagine one of the factors is students seeing like everything a school can offer or provide. They might want to makes them want to go there more. So that's just one thing. I do feel like if we had more clubs, that would attract more students. However, I know there's so many levels above that. Even if we had 500 kids apply and put SLA as their first choice or second choice, not all 500 of them would end up here. They might even only accept or bring in less than 100 kids. And that comes up to the school district. So unless there's more teachers, you can't really have extracurriculars, more funding, things like that. But I think if they had more clubs and sports, we'd attract more students. That's just a potential solution. So you need more funding for that.
Do you notice disproportionate funding between schools in Philadelphia? If so, name some examples of schools, and why do you think that is?
Yes, however, my experience before working in public schools were with charter schools. And so that's like a whole another system, and charter schools are problematic for a bunch of other reasons. However, while I was there, I was kind of flabbergasted over the like amount of extra supplies, extra books, all these extra things that they did not need, that they gave out. I wasn't fully a teacher, I was a reading specialist through AmeriCorps. They were just giving me like supplies and I didn't have to pay for them. And I didn't think anything of it until I got to public schools and started having to pay out of pocket, or just seeing like just the juxtaposition between what a charter school can give and how much extra money they have versus a public school. Something needs to change for public schools. It's not fair to them, and charter schools also come with their own problems. And so if they have all this excess money to, I don't want to say waste, but maybe that money should be going to places where it's needed.
How much money do you spend on classroom necessities annually?
Last year more, because it was my first year, and so I was less prepared. Like for example, I didn't have to buy a new pencil sharpener this year. So I'd say and I got some donations last year. I went above my stipends. They give us about $200 that they'll reimburse. And so I would say definitely more than 200, less than 500, more than 200. Like I would say 300-ish. Yes, but I'm trying to be more fiscally responsible.
Okay, that's good.